What is up, what's going on, guys? Sorry, I haven't talked for a few hours. Man, oh man, let me turn on the chat. Here, we got that on. Good, good, good. What is up? I'm out here beating my head up against the wall trying to catch fish on Guntersville. Figured I'd go live, but just for the heck of it. Haven't done it in a while. So, I'm out here just trying to find fish. I am in the middle of the lake. I mean, literally half a mile that way, half a mile that way is the bank. So, what's up, Russell? Go Dogs. Right now I'm out in the middle on some, they're ridges, they're not ledges off the river channel, but they're in between channels and got a lot of current pushing through Guntersville right now. And I'm out offshore doing what I love to do. Keeping an eye on my side scan, keeping an eye on my down imaging. Trying to find a shell bed on a ridge right now. That's what I'm trying to find. It may take me a little while, but I'm catching fish. I'm just not catching any big ones. That's why I moved out here in the middle of the lake. But I'm gonna do a lot of running around. That's why I figured I'd go live and talk and answer questions. And so I was out here last Friday. I caught 10 or 12, and then Thursday I caught 40 or 50, but none of them any longer than this. They were all little. So I'm not finding the big ones quite yet, but I'm out here where they should be. So John Wilson, that's awesome, man. He says he was at BLAT seminar that I did with BLAT a little while ago, and won 8th place in big bass. That's awesome. That's not my favorite lake. Russell is a fun lake when in the summertime for me and my fishing partner back in the day. We used to go up there and mess around when we got tired of Clark's Hill. So actually, let me pull the phone and I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Flip this around. So I don't know if you can see me, but that's me right there in the arrow, and I'm getting off course. And I've got the colors changed on my Lowrance to where I can see the ridges really well. And I'm trying to run up on this ridge, and I'm gonna go right over top of it, and I'm gonna be using side scan over here to try to see if I can find a school of fish hanging out on a shell bed or something like that. These are the kind of places that people don't particularly stop at, because there's plenty of ledges. Like there's a boat. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a boat right over there sitting on a very well-known ledge, and there's not very many of them that aren't known. So I come out here looking for the hidden stuff, and so that's kind of what I'm doing. Just running along this ledge with my side scan. Kamikaze, actually a New Canoe Unlimited is an excellent boat. This one in my opinion is better, but that's because I helped design it and I'm very, very particular. But an Unlimited is an excellent boat, very, very stable, very riggable. You can put whatever you want to on it. It's a pretty nice rig. I haven't met many people that don't like it. That's the thing. So, and even with this PWR 129 from Bonafide, I every time I meet somebody that has one, I ask them straight up, what don't you like about this boat? And the only thing anybody ever says is the foot pedals. I've heard that multiple times, but nothing else. So it's been a very good boat for those people who own it. And you just change the foot pedals out to the Wizard foot pedals, and that problem solved. So I'm a big guy and looking for the most room and stability. Well, this one, the XTR, which is in my opinion a little too big. It's slow. I'm not particularly fond of it because it is a slow boat, because it is so big, but it's perfect for really, really big guys. You know, I was nearly 300 pounds a year and a half ago, and this one worked out just fine. Of course, it's a lot better now that I'm less than 200 pounds. Let's see, Russell Tyson says he bought a kayak last year. Then he bought Chad Hoover's SS127. Oh, I'm thinking about doing a giveaway type deal. It's a tournament where the requirements is all you gotta do is catch fish. You know, it's not, and it's like gonna be a random drawing of stuff like that. It may start this next month. I've got to get with Fishing Chaos because they're the only ones that can do it the way that I want to do it. I'd love to use Attorney X, but he can't quite do what I need to do. And so I'm going to use Fishing Chaos and give away my SS127 that's fully wrapped and rigged with a motor and a fish finder on it. I need to basically just call him and get it started and get it going next month and the month after. It'll be a 2-month deal. So it ought to be pretty neat. Basically all you got to do, each fish is an entry and each entry is $5, and all portions of the proceeds are going to go to Heroes on the Water. It's going to be a fundraiser for them. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Still not seeing anything out here. I knew I wouldn't until I get probably a quarter of a mile up here where the power line or the tower is, the electrical tower is. Russell says I've been eyeballing a wrap. It ain't all it's cut out to be. I'd rather run without a wrap. I really would. They're neat. They're pretty. They're great marketing. Sponsors love them, but for me, I beat them up too much. I cut them and rip them off, and I'm always on this boat, and I'm not nice to my equipment. I use it. I don't treat it like a baby. So LJ Fishing, where are you at right now? Where are you deployed? Or can you tell me? I used to be stationed in Augusta, so there's a lot of people who just can't tell me. So I understand that. Got lots of friends in military intelligence and NSA and all that other stuff we don't, typically discuss. Yeah, you'll learn it through you'll learn it through all of my social media as soon as it gets ready to launch. I'm gonna try to launch it this next month. Like I said, I just gotta call them and get it. They've already built out the page. I just gotta get it going. Iraq. It's not a bad place. I didn't know we were still hanging out in Iraq. Yeah. Fortunately for me, I was never deployed overseas. I volunteered for a lot of stuff during peacetime. I got out in 2002, so I was there for 9/11, did a lot of guard duty and that kind of crap at the hospital I worked at. Had I had the opportunity to go overseas, I would have in a heartbeat. But when it was time for me to get out, it was time for me to get out. I had some horrible NCOs that made life miserable for all of us, and mainly because they weren't doing their job and they didn't want to get caught not doing their job. Got a little bit of grass on the bottom, coming up on a shallow spot. Yeah, I can do that, Cat. Hold on, or Carter. Let me pull it off here again. I'll show you what I'm looking for. It's not really much right now, but there's my side scan, and this is actually a short eelgrass. If you look at the down imaging, you see just a little bit of it ticking up like that. So it's real short eelgrass. And what I want to see is clumpy grass is what I'm looking for. I don't think I'm going to see anything out here, but you just never know until you figure it out. I mean, look, I got a tower right there. I'm in the middle of Guntersville. I mean, there's no bank around me or anything else. I'm just out here looking, but I want to see clumpy grass. I want to see scattered. I want to see hard bottom and stuff like that. I'm just not seeing it, at least not right now. So I could stop and fish this tower right here, but I'm looking offshore. I want to see what they're doing. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, and I know where to find it. I'm about a 30-minute run from there, from where I want to be, or where I'd like to be to just catch them, but I just want to come out here and look. So I'm gonna hang a left, go to another ridge. That's a little bit shallower. It's a little early in the year to be doing this, but they sometimes get out here real early, especially when there's current flowing. And right now in Guntersville, they're dumping water out of Guntersville. They're dumping the water out of Nickajack. So there's a lot of current, and I push them out here on these offshore spots a little bit faster. So ATL Flash, what's up, man? How are you? Jonathan Strength doing kickflip. No. Yeah, Steven, that's where I'm at. I'm at Browns Creek. No, I'm not at Browns Creek. There are no power lines that go across Browns Creek. You know that. Is Guntersville my favorite lake to fish? No, it's one of them, but I live an hour and 20 minutes from here, so it's real easy to get to. I've got places I can stay up here if I stay a little bit too late. There's a real good store called Rural King that's real close to me, real close to here. I go down and get my chicken feed and stuff I need for my farm because it's cheaper than Tractor Supply. It's just lots of reasons why I come here. But I do a lot of fish tips and stuff, that website fishtips.com. I do fish tips and earn a little bit of money for the things I figure out here and stuff like that. So I need to get to be doing more content and more videos out here. I just have not. This is only the third day in 6 months I've been out here. So I've been caught up doing things for family and helping people out. Doing, you know, a lot of people see that I'm off work and I'm self-employed and think I can drop what I'm doing and do whatever I need to help them. And I do that a lot. I do it especially for my family. So my father-in-law's got me doing bees right now, which is funny because I'm allergic to them. So Silver Punk says, I'm stuck between the PWR and XTR and TAC Pro. I want a good balance of track speed, standing and stability, black pack storage room, and bow mount motor. The 1K price difference is a big deal. Dude, I'm telling you, this PWR you can actually put more black pack stuff, more room back behind your seat because the seat doesn't swivel and take up all that room. That seat will hit a black pack if it's too close to it. So I like, I don't need a swivel seat. Oops, I'm getting off on track. But you just don't have to worry too much about speed, because I mean this thing goes 4.5 miles an hour. Right now I'm going 3.2 in this current, but 4.5 miles an hour on top speed with an XTR. You can get a Torpedo on the back and get 6 miles an hour out of it. And the XTR just being bigger is just a slower boat. It's great if you want to stand all day. It's great for just those big guys and stuff like that. Chad loves it. I don't particularly like it. I'm not gonna lie about it just because they're sponsors. I love the PWR. This boat fits me like an old work boot. So the one thing about it is it's got a lot of wiggle. The primary stability, it's got a lot of wiggle because it's got some rocker in it, so that causes it to be a little bit faster and stuff like that. But the secondary stability is so rock solid, you don't even, look, I just lean into it and it hits that secondary stability and it just stops. So, and it handles big water good, stuff like that. So I'm only gonna spend another 10 minutes out on this stuff and I'm gonna go over here and get some shallow grass. There's a guy in a kayak about a half mile away. Figured I'd be the only kayaker out here today. My buddy Andrew Norby's out here somewhere. I ought to call him and find out what's going on. Captain Kangaroo says, I have been using your videos to teach my nephew the ways, the ways of fishing. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'll be honest with you. I've gotten bored with doing the same videos over and over and over and over again. It's so hard for me to just keep doing those. And, you know, forward-facing sonar is great. I feel like there's still so many people that need just the basic stuff that I haven't done very many forward-facing sonar videos. They'll get me a lot of views, but I just don't think that, I don't know. I think that you guys that don't have it are more important, really. So we need some more support from those of us who teach. So William, I'm at Guntersville. Right on the river channel. As you can tell, boat's buzzing me. I'm used to it though. All right, I'm gonna pull off of this and go to get some grass flats, I think. If I keep doing this, I'm gonna run this battery as dead as can be. Oh, wait a second. There's a grass ridge right there. Tell you what I saw. Oh, I saw that right there, and that's just a ridge of grass is what it is. I was turning at the time, so that's why it looks like that. But so I turned around. I'm gonna go across it and clear my cursor so I can see it when I do. Maybe it was the drop off, I don't know. Oh, I turned too sharp and my rudder turned. I'm like, man, I'm not doing anything. Let's see. Oops, I got off of it again. All right, I gotta put the phone up and find it. Let me mark it real quick. That's what I love about a Lowrance. You can go backwards and see everything that you've seen, and then when you pause it, it doesn't stop recording. You don't miss anything. Like a Garmin will stop recording as you're doing something else on the unit, and then when you go back, you've missed everything you've gone over while you were doing what you were doing. So it's just a little line of grass if it is anything at all. And so it really isn't, I don't think it'll hold fish that much, but nope, it's nothing. And then dummy me who always forgets to delete that waypoint that I made. I'm gonna remember this time. I'll come back in a year and say, ooh, there's something, and come by and I'll be nothing because I didn't delete the waypoint. Have I done saltwater fishing before? Yeah, Karen, I have. I caught a 275-pound Goliath grouper out of my kayak many, many years ago. There's a video about it somewhere on my YouTube channel. And I love inshore though. Love redfish and trout, specifically in Louisiana, but I'll do it anywhere. So, how's the fishing at the honeycomb area? I don't know. I haven't been up there in a while. So. Ray Frazier, what's up, man? Crawfords. I've never heard of Crawfords. What world is that? How many years did it take to earn my Flukemaster degree? I didn't know there was a Flukemaster degree. I'm from Louisiana, man. Mine is bass and white perch. Yes, exactly. We call them crappie here, but I understand completely. Ooh, there's a little bit of grass on there. All right, let me show you guys what I just saw. It's not a whole lot, but there's a fish on it. Put my remote down. All right, so see the grass right here we just came up on? That right there, that little white spot. Let me see if it'll focus on there. That little white spot is a fish. Let me pull it back up, zoom in. That's a fish right there. Just separated from the bottom just a hair and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of fish right there, just that one. But I'm looking for a bunch of those is what I'm looking for. So there might be some hidden down in this grass. It's not very tall grass, but it's still, I'm gonna run up and down this ridge and look. You can see I'm on this ridge right here. So let me clear that cursor, get things going. I really need to have a separate camera somehow on my fish finder, but it's impossible right now. What's the main thing I look for when fishing a new lake during post-spawn? I look for offshore structure, not cover being grass and stuff they can hide in. I look for long points that have a sharp edge that a creek channel runs up against. The bass are heading back out and they're hanging out on those creek channels, on those points. Then I'm looking for grass, especially on Guntersville. Now, if you're in a lake that has shallow grass that's green, the bass will get into that, but I typically will stay on the outside edge of that grass and any points that grass might create. And that's kind of what we'll do here in just a little bit. I just got myself way too far away from where I want to be. Yeah, I'll show you. I want to go way over there is where I want to go. I may just head that way. I'm gonna run this ridge just a little bit, see if I see another fish on it. If not, I'm gonna just talk to you guys while I get over that way. That's one thing about fishing out of a kayak. Actually, no, I'll just go over here. You can't make long runs like you can in a bass boat, but I catch more fish because I don't spook them near as much. So am I imitating shad when I find them? Offshore I am, unless it's real clumpy grass and it's fairly shallow, then I go bluegill, because typically bluegill will live in that grass a lot more than shad. So if I'm fishing like outside edges and then offshore on ledges and things like that, it's shad. But if I'm fishing thick grass and that clumpy stuff that I really like to see, I'm throwing bluegill stuff. You'd be amazed, even on lakes that have a lot of shad, bass primarily feed on bluegill when they're in the grass and in that shallow cover. So, bass fishing, etc. Yeah, man, that's a fun show. I do it every year. They love me and they keep paying me to come back, so I'm not going to complain at all. That's a really good show. If you guys wondering what it is, it's a trade show it's an outdoor show in Indianapolis, Indiana in February of every year. And I'm there for 2 weeks, basically. And I do 17 seminars while I'm there. So it's a lot of fun. I love kayak, brother, quiet, and I go along the bank where old logs and stuff like that. Yep. I love it because it doesn't spook fish. I mean, even when you get over top of them, it doesn't seem to spook them near as bad as a bass boat. And I think it has to do with displacement. A bass boat displaces a lot of water and it pushes pressure, causes a slight pressure change, even out to 30, 40, 50 feet away. Bass can feel that. In a kayak, they can't feel that pressure change because it doesn't displace that much water. And so it really, really does, it doesn't spook them. So that's the advantage of a kayak over a bass boat that I found. That's the biggest one for me, at least, because I'm always trying to sneak up on fish. So let's see. I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm not gonna run all the way back over there. I got enough battery to do it, but that'd be where I'd have to stay. So, what is the best lure to catch halibut in Southern California? I have no clue. That is not my forte. Oh, Mr. Fields, what's up, David? How are you, brother? Did you ever fish in the Phoenix BFLs? No, I didn't. Fished one BFL 100 years ago when it was the Walmart BFL. So do I fish for walleye? Yeah, when I'm in an area, in a lake that has walleye. This one doesn't. Most of the lakes I fish don't, at least here around my house. But my home lake has walleye, but they're few and far between. They stock them. They don't ever reproduce. And typically I catch them on accident. So, because there's no grass, nothing to hold them, you just kind of accidentally get into a few of them and catch them. So. Thanks, Bigfoot. I appreciate it, man. All right, I'm gonna show you guys when I find the right stuff. I'm gonna show you guys what I do to catch them, and we'll start catching fish. What part of Georgia am I from? I'm from Rome, so northwest Georgia. Live up in a little town called Armurchie. So, good old Gray, Georgia. Yep, I know where that is. All right, get off of offshore hard stuff, put my jig away, grab a chatterbait. Get into some of this shallow grass. And when I say shallow, 6 or 7 feet deep is what I'm looking for. Ever been up to Lake St. Clair? I have. I've been to Lake Erie, but not over Lake St. Clair. I've been past St. Clair. But I used to do a media event in May and fish Erie and fish the good grief, why did my mind just go blank? The river that runs between Erie and St. Clair. Good gosh. Niagara River. So my personal best smallmouth came off of Lake Erie during that trip. One year it was almost 8 pounds, 7.9 pounds. I've got grass on my motor. No, not really. Silver Punk says, I grew up on Pickwick but didn't have a boat to fish it properly. Yeah, that's the hard part, especially around here. Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, that kind of stuff. There's not a whole lot of private or public water where if you don't have a boat, you know, it's just not a lot of it. And that's why whenever I do like a video of a bank fishing, I always get that one guy who's like, yeah, sure, you can catch fish on a private lake, you've lost a lot of cred. I'm like, dude, that's all there is. There is no, hardly any bank fishing in the state of Georgia. And if it is, you're limited to a little bitty section. There's only a few public fishing areas in the state. They just don't cater to that like a lot of other states. Florida, you can fish everywhere. It's crazy. Lots of bank access everywhere. If you want to play around with gators, that's fine. But yep, Silver Punk is exactly right. Lanier is impossible without a boat. There's nowhere to fish. And the bass are all offshore anyway, so. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm basically trolling a chatterbait, and this is gonna suck because there's a whole bunch of eelgrass floating on the water. But I go about 2 or about 3 miles an hour as I get up into this shallow grass. And I love a chatterbait because when you get grass wrapped around it, you know it. Blade stops running, so you just pop it loose. Have I tried any of the Cast Kings BFS stuff? Yes, I have. I love it, absolutely. And that's not because, again, I don't do that because it's a sponsor. It's because I really like Cast Kings reels. Their reels are great. Their rods are a little on the soft side, but they're good rods. I mean, this one right here is outstanding. This is the Carolina rig rod, but I use it as a chatterbait rod. You know, and I hope to help them design some rods one day. But their BFS stuff is really, really good. They got the lightest reel on the market. And what's really cool is they're in the process of moving into their own factory. I know they're not Chinese made, but they own the factory. There's only 2 other companies that own their own factories, and that's Daiwa and Shimano. And so that's really, really cool. So they'll be able to control a lot of the quality control and stuff like that. And the owner's an amazing dude. Do I strictly kayak fish anymore? Yes. Boat just got to be too expensive, too much work, too many things break on it. When a kayak breaks, I can fix it on my tailgate. I don't have to wait 2 or 3 months for it to be fixed, or wait for a boat repair guy to have an open spot to be able to look at it. It's just a lot, and just a lot less issues. And so many boats especially aluminum boats, are not made to be fished out of every day. So, you know, that and cost per day. You can't beat a kayak when it comes to cost per day. You know, a boat, you're spending anywhere from $40 in gas to $150 in gas, depending on what you're doing and what size your motor is. In a kayak, you just have to make sure your batteries are charged. You get lithium, and they can charge thousands of times before they have to be replaced. There's a fish. Oh, I missed him. Wasn't a very big one. So yeah, I'm trolling at 2.9 miles an hour on grass that's 6 feet deep. Still offshore, but not too bad. I'm on a grassy hump. Do you actually use leader, or just tie your baits to your main line? I use fluorocarbon and tie to my main line most of the time. The only thing I have a leader on is my spinning rod, so I'll use a braided main line on my spinning rod and tie a leader onto that. There's fish right there. Not a very big one, but a bit. It's the kind of stuff I've been catching. Little bitty guys. One of these days I'll get into a school of big ones and we'll have a lot of fun with them. But I was in 9 feet of water on the outside edge of the grass. I'm gonna turn around where I caught them and see if I can't catch another one. Phone's starting to get dark. Must be getting warm. I've got the screen brightness turned all the way up, and it doesn't matter. It still freaking gets too dark to see comments sometimes. So, what bait are you trolling with you right now? I always troll a chatterbait, and a chatterbait or a loopless crankbait, something with some vibration. That way I know when it gets grass wrapped around it, and I can just rip the grass off of it. Everything else is just so much harder to do. Let's see. Veteran Angler says, I was just telling my wife I need Starlink on my canoe. Oh, actually, dude, it's the Mini is, I think they're having a sale on it right now. No, I'm not sponsored by Starlink, although I wish I was. I bought mine for $700 less than a year ago, and they are now down to 300, I think. They're on sale for 300, 399 or 400 or something like, I don't know, but they're a lot less. They dropped down to 500, and then now they're even cheaper for, at least for right now. So, huh. I thought this guy went by me, but no, he saw me catch that fish, and this is what we call the bent pole pattern. He came right on over when he saw me catch that fish. He was further that way. That's okay. You made your kayak, dude. That would scare me to death. That's cool that you could do it. That's really awesome, but good gosh. I'm good at tearing up these ones that are factory made. All right, I'm coming back up on another area that should have them. I'm gonna have to hang a left here in a second. Said didn't look homemade at all. That's cool, man. That really is. $250, so $249 on Amazon, and then I pay $50 a month for the service. Yeah, it's for me, it's well worth it. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these lives now that YouTube's got their lives all squared away to where I can actually do them and make a little bit of money on them. So I'd love to do TikToks. Just TikToks, I don't get enough play. I don't get enough views and stuff like that. So of course my TikTok's slowly growing. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate you, man. Oh, let me get up here. Okay, it's hard to read comments and keep on the same right path. Just wanted to say I was talking to you at Red Crest at the Von Braun. And I absolutely love the Asagi and Mega Jaws you sold to me. Yeah, dude, they're good. You know, Casking just has had a reputation they have to overcome, and that's because when they first came out, they didn't have a whole lot of resources. The owner was young, and he has learned a lot since he started. He's learned how to create good, how to hire the right people and create good products. And they're made in China, but the fact that he is Chinese and he knows Chinese, he's able to get more favorable outcomes than a lot of companies. I hate that it's like that, but that's just the way it is. But now that he's got his own factory making reels, dude, you're about to see some absolute amazing stuff come out. And it's not going to be expensive. I mean, the reels I use are all, between $80 and $130. The one on my big swim bait rod, $130 reel. And I've been using it for over a year, throwing a bull shad, a full-size bull shad. So, too much eelgrass, dadgummit. Yeah. get out of the current, and the eelgrass just stacks up. I'll show you what eelgrass is. And it's floating all over the surface. And with the current out in the river channel like that, it pushes all the eelgrass down the river and then off to the side where there's no current. It just kind of sits here and mats up. And the reason Guntersville has eelgrass is because years ago they sprayed and killed all the hydrilla, and the eelgrass grew in its place. Ridiculous. Now they're spraying all the eelgrass, and the company that sprays is making a lot of money doing it. So that's pretty cool that you did that with you made your own kayaks. The biggest thing is, dude, just wear your PFD all the time. You just never know, even with a regular kayak. I'm not saying your kayak sucks, I'm just saying, just always have your PFD on you. When I do my safety seminar every year in Indianapolis, at the boat show, you know, one of the things I always tell them is 92% of all fatalities that involved a kayak involved somebody that did not have their PFD on. 92%. So it's kind of like wearing a parachute. You know, your parachute doesn't open. How many times a parachute doesn't open? Not very often, but when it doesn't open, you're probably gonna die. If you don't have one on, you're guaranteed to die. I know there's fish up in here. I may have to change my idea of how I want to fish it because of all this eelgrass. It's funny, that boat pulled right as soon as I caught that fish. He hit the motor and pulled right out in front of me. It's hilarious. It is what it is. Yeah, when I was fishing the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship on Lake Fork, not an hour into it, I had a boat from Missouri, an aluminum boat, literally pull right over top of where I was fishing. I mean, right where I was casting a giant bullshead, you know, swim bait. So he had to have seen it, just didn't care. And then got mad at me, threatened to kick my butt because I was mad at him for going over where I was fishing. Hilarious. Probably should have considered him being just too much of a beginner to understand what he was doing. So I don't know. Or he was just dumb. What do I think of the Pelican catch? The only thing I don't like about Pelicans is that their plastic is so thin that their boats don't last very long. So, I mean, if you're only fishing weekends and a couple, 2 or 3 weekends, you know, 1 or 2 weekends a month, then it'll last you a couple of years. But I just think they're a waste of money. You're better off saving your money. You know, buying one that floats, but buy a used one that's a little bit better quality, that's roto-molded. Dude, there has got to be fish in this grass. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Pull this off of here real quick. Show you guys what I'm looking at. So this is all eelgrass, and you see how it's kind of clumpy. It's actually not as clumpy as I like it. I like to have actual clumps and stuff, but I'm looking for that tall of grass is what I'm looking for. I just stopped moving. That's why it's all elongated right here. So if I was moving, it'd look a little bit better. But there's got to be fish right here. I just got to figure out how to get through all of this floating eelgrass. Maybe this wind will push it out of the way a little bit. So funny though, that guy came over and threatened to kick my butt, and I looked at him. I said, dude, I am too old to fight with my fist, and you do not want to come over. I told him, I said, I don't fight with my fist in my hands. And I think he got the message. I need to just keep trolling. Make a few casts right here, just troll this area as much as I can. What's cool is I'll troll like that with a chatterbait. You can't do that in a bass boat. It just, like I said, it just displaces so much water, it spooks the fish. But I'll troll around, and you know, when I catch a fish, I'll turn around and fish a little bit, and usually there's 2 or 3 other ones in the area. Sometimes there's more than that. Last year, a little bit earlier in the year, early May of last year, I would troll around and get bit and then stop and start throwing a bigger bait like a trick shad or like a big worm and catching giants. You know, I'd catch a medium-sized one on my chatterbait, but then, you know, then turn around and fish that area, and there'd be big ones. And that's how I caught a lot of big ones last year. Razor bass, I'm on Guntersville. Spencer says, Gene, I've been killing them on super flukes at Clark's Hill all month, just like the good old days. Daggum, I'm jealous. That lake's changed a lot since I left there 9 years ago, though. It's no longer much of a largemouth lake. At least, you know, you catch a lot more spots there than you used to. All right, let's mess around with this. What's my rod and reel setup? I'm throwing a Speed Demon, Cast King Speed Demon with 20-pound test on it because I'm ripping it through the grass. It's a Carolina rig, half-ounce Carolina rig, and then I'm throwing or not Carolina rig, half-ounce chatterbait. And then I'm throwing it on a Carolina rig rod. It's the Asagi, Cast King Asagi Carolina rig rod. Because I troll with it, and it's so aggressive because I'm ripping it out of the grass. I want a little bit, something a little bit beefier. And the Carolina rig rod has just enough give to where I get the bait in their mouth, but it's stiff enough for me to rip it. Gosh, this eelgrass is just horrible. Set up right, there we go. Any word on them rods? Actually, these Asagis are really good, and the Speed Demon rods are really good too. But they're just a little on the soft side, so I typically will, especially for kayak fishing, I want them a little bit beefier, a little bit more backbone to them. Dude, their cranking rods are great for cranking. They just lack a little bit of medium heavy rods that I like to fish with, so I tend to fish with heavier rods, especially since I fish so aggressively anyway. But their Asagi is good, their and the Spirali rod is good too. That's the spiral wrap rod that Big Cliff Crochet designed. But they're decent, they're really good. They're the beefy ones. Sounds like that guy's leaving. Yep. I'll go past over where he was in a minute and catch one. Right now I'm trolling at about 3.2 miles an hour over fairly shallow grass, 4 to 6 feet deep. I'm actually a little shallower than I want to be. I want to be off this point a little bit. It's a mixture of eelgrass and milfoil is what it is. I bet he comes back if I go over there. Yeah, he's a long ways away. It doesn't bother me. I'm so used to it. My favorite is when they come over to do it and they just sit there and watch me catch fish if I'm on a big school. And I figured them out and turned them on. I just let them watch me catch them. What areas of lake are you focusing on this time of the year? If it is shallow lake with a lot of grass, outside edges of the grass is what I'm looking for, and little structure. Always, I'm gonna start in the outside edges of the grass because that grass actually is kind of like structure, especially if there's points and pockets of it. This eelgrass is just too much. Daggum. Alright, I'm gonna go over there where he was. It's a little closer to the current and the eelgrass isn't all matted up over there. You ever gonna make it down here to the Carolinas and do some fishing? Yeah, we probably will. At least I will. Thing is, in South Carolina, there's a few lakes that are really good to fish, and the other ones are just hard to access. A lot of them are county lakes, and the county has so many regulations, makes it impossible for those of us out of towners can come and fish, especially up around Greenville, South Carolina. You got to get a boat permit. You got to get just all kinds of stupid stuff. I had a guy that won a contest a few years ago to fish with me, and I was going to go to his lake, and then I looked at it and did a little research, and it was going to cost me more money to be able to fish his lakes than it was to pay for him to come to my lakes and put him up in a hotel for 2 nights. So that's what I did. Tips to gain a social media following, looking to gain a presence for potential scholarships? Biggest thing is just start and create as much content as you can and learn the ropes. So much has changed so fast over the years. I haven't even been able to keep up. I've been kind of trying to stay true to what I've always wanted to be and what I always wanted to do. So yeah, that's the biggest thing is you just got to do it. When you were with 13 Fishing, what do you think they did right with their rods and reels? They let us try them out. They would send a few of us prototypes, and we'd try them out and really test them. And same, the reels they never did, but the rods we were able to give our 2 cents worth in, and it really helped them to create some really good rods for certain techniques. So if they made techniques, and they had enough people all over the country where they would send, a guide down in Florida, stuff that was made for grass fishing and things like that. So it's also how we found out that a kayak model of or model of rod for just kayaks was not really worth it. Better off just making some with a little bit shorter butts and not worrying about it. So, any luck today? Yeah, I've caught a few today. I'm offshore, kind of looking to where they're not quite at. I kind of wish I'd have started this back 2 miles that way, and I would have stayed there and caught more fish. But I decided to do it while I was out in the middle of the freaking lake looking. Fished in South Carolina. We got a few nice lakes we fish here in North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina's got some good lakes too. Just, I don't know why I've never made an East Coast swing to go up there. I'm gonna fish the Susquehanna in August up in Pennsylvania, but I don't know why I've never done an East Coast swing. It's hard to get me away from Guntersville though. I love this lake. Still fishing out of PWR? Yes, I am. Not too much of a fan of the XTR. It's a good boat, really is. It just doesn't fit me very well. Doesn't fit my style. So I'm gonna stay up on this one. PWR I helped design, which I'm kind of, particular. That's one of the reasons I'm very particular for it. But the other thing is, it fits me. It fits everything that I do. I've rigged it out. I have a spot for everything. It's just hard for me to switch to something that's so much different than what I've been fishing. So I don't think the XTR equals a John boat. It's just very similar in rigging and very similar in where things go, like a John boat. So it's just not, you're talking about putting things in places, it's just different places, and I don't like that. I've got a spot for everything on this boat. And so, and I don't have OCD, but I guess it does mess with my OCD a little bit. All right, I got one GPS that seems like it's a little bit off. For some strange reason. Stop here and spot lock. Just this little bitty ridge of a little bit taller grass, and it had fish on it. Make 4 or 5 casts here and see what happens. The way I throw a chatterbait when I'm throwing in grass is I let it sink all the way to the bottom. I want to be able to tick that grass. I let it sink till it stops. And I give it a couple of turns and then let it fall on a tight line, and that straightens my line up. So when I start to reel it super slow like this, it stays down. Wind picked up a little bit. Right here, but it's enough to hold a few fish. dig the SS127. I think it's pretty close to the PWR. It is pretty close. We took everything that we wanted to improve from the SS127. We put it to the PWR. So the PWR is an improvement from the SS. But the SS is still a great boat. And like I said earlier, some of you guys missed it. Is next month I'm going to do a kind of a giveaway tournament where each fish is an entry, and then we randomly draw. You enter as many fish as you want to. Each fish is a $5. It costs $5 to enter it, and it's a fundraiser for probably Heroes on the Water. I haven't decided yet, but that's probably what it's going to be. And then at the end of the tournament, which is probably going to be 2 months long, I draw a winner of my SS127 that's wrapped. It's going to have a XI3 motor on it. It'll have a battery. It'll have, be somewhat rigged, have a fish finder, stuff like that. And I'm going to give that away to a random guy. And there's going to be a prize for the guy that catches the most fish and the biggest fish and that kind of stuff. But it's mainly just to raise money and get rid of that kayak, because it's just collecting dust in my barn right now. This is really weird. I got the wind blowing this way and the current blowing this way, and my spot lock is doing pretty good at holding me, but it's weird having the current coming behind me. And I just got grass wrapped around my trolling motor. All right, one more cast here, and that'll be it. Let me throw this way. It's boring when I'm not catching fish, isn't it? I knew as soon as I started this, I'd stop catching them. I guess I ought to just go up where I know they are. Never mind. It's a good one too. This is a good one. Not huge, but he's better than I've been catching. Stay on. There we go. A little 2.5 pounder. Look at that son of a gun. So I talk about not catching fish. Sweet. This is actually the Evo tungsten from Z-Man. It's the one I'm throwing. Not bad. Let's throw back in there and see if there's another one. Am I still spot locked? Yeah. Boy, he freaking wrecked it too. I wish I had a barn. I'd keep my mother-in-law in there because, well, never mind. I got one of those. Except she's such a good grandmother that I'd have to build her a house. So JJ's Magic, you guys know I love JJ's Magic. We call it my mother-in-law repellent. So she'd come visit us when we were in Augusta, and when it was time for her to go, I'd go out in the garage and I'd open up a bottle of JJ's Magic, and within a few hours she was packing up. So John Wilson. Gene, I've been addicted to drugs since I was 12 years old. Man, 63 years old now. Been clean for 2 years. Good, man. Been kayak bass fishing for 2 years. Been following you for 2 years. It's the only thing that's worked, dude. And you probably have seen my intro video on my channel. That's one of the huge reasons. You know, my best friend growing up became addicted to drugs. I tried so hard to help him, and finally I just had to let him help himself. You know, Ryan OD'd, you know, basically my son. His dad got put in prison when he was 13 years old, and I kind of became his mentor. Dude, there's fish right here. I kind of became his mentor, and then he OD'd on heroin and died after I had him clean for 87 days. Let him go home to his family's house, or let him go visit family, and then he somehow was able to get some. But I've been around it my whole life, never done it, but always wanted to support people. And so when I realized that what I was doing on YouTube was helping those who were addicted to drugs and other things, you know, giving them something else to be addicted to, you know, it's huge. You know, definitely do the 12-step program. I wish Ryan had agreed to do that. It probably would have saved his life. But and get you a mentor through that. But dude, good for you. 2 years is tough. I know it is. I know it is. What rod am I throwing? This is the Asagi Sweet Carolina rod. It's a Carolina rig rod that Cast King makes. It is actually for fishing a chatterbait in the grass and real aggressive like I do. It's perfect. It really is. So I lose a few more fish than I would if I had one that was a little bit softer. But you know, this one, I went right under that fish. Yes, I'm scoping right now. I'm just trying to stay on this small little patch of grass that I'm sitting on top of. I want to make sure I don't cast off of it. I can't see the fish in it for sure, unless they come up out of the grass. But let's see. Me and my buddy caught 53 bass at Guntersville last week. I did too, dude. I had a day where I caught 40, and the next day I caught 10 or 15. Nothing big though, all tiny, and most of them in the same spot. Ooh, that freaking, ooh. I don't know if that's grass or not, but I thought it was a bite. Dude, I said this, and this was back when Cast, you know, and I'll tell you this Cast King reels and Cast King rods are by far the best value on the market. The reels are incredible, some of the best technology out there, and lightest reels, and they really are durable. I got a couple of them that are a little noisy, but they work fine. They just make a little bit more noise than what I'm used to. What is this one? Goodness gracious. Oh, Speed Demon. My brain just went dead. And my glasses aren't on, or I don't have my reading glasses on. But the Speed Demon has a couple of them that are just a little bit noisy, and that's the only issue I've had with any of their reels. So, and you can't beat price. You get them from their website. I've got an affiliate link in my videos for Cast King. If you go that way, I get a portion if you buy anything Cast King off their website. But the way they keep the price down is it's factory direct, and so prices are a little bit different have been a little bit different because of the tariffs. But that's gone away with the latest 90-day pause on tariffs. So. I know there's another fish on here. This is not a very big spot. It's only about the size of a house, maybe smaller. What do I expect for the dogs this football season? I'm kind of excited about it. I'm more excited about year after next though, because a lot of those young guys that are still working their way up and still trying to buy in, they've got a lot of talent coming up. Good grief. I just hope a lot of those guys stay out of the portal and see Georgia for what their value is. So I just started fishing Guntersville last year, man. The lake is so huge. I still feel like, oh, I've only fished like 1% of the lake. When you're on them, it's awesome. Yeah, and it really is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna make 2 more casts here, and then I'm gonna go. Let it sink to the bottom, about 5 feet of water. Start reeling real slow, stop it, let it go down to the bottom on a tight line, and then slowly reel it back. I want to feel it tick in the grass. What's my PB? PB largemouth is 10 pounds, 12 ounces. Caught in Alabama, south of here, way south of here. Caught anything? Yeah, just caught one a second ago. Do the chemicals used to kill the grass affect the fish? No, I don't think the chemicals do. The fact that the grass is dying does, and all the, you know, your oxygen gets used up. The dissolved oxygen gets used up by the grass that's decaying. So, my last cast on this spot. And that pushes the fish out of there because they can't breathe. And so, yeah, so it's usually like 4 or 5 days after they spray that it gets really bad. It does affect them because there is a different in the water, and it'll shut them down pretty quick. So yeah, it's a pain in the butt that they're spraying that much. I wish they wouldn't. I want to find the politician that's getting his pockets lined, and or whoever, the government official that's getting their pockets lined. I'm gonna make another cast. There's 3 or 4 fish just sitting right there. Good gosh, they're just real close to the boat. Keep my angle down. What does a grass transition look like on sonar? If I see one here as I move up on this point, I should see one, and I'll show you. Just you'll learn. The biggest thing I say is, and I use down imaging and side imaging a lot, especially side imaging. You'll learn the difference in the types of grass just by seeing something and throwing like a heavy jig in there and pulling grass up and seeing what it is. But I look for, with eelgrass on Guntersville, it becomes like a carpet, and it looks like a really pretty, beautiful shag carpet. And then all of a sudden you start seeing holes in that carpet, and that's actually where a different type of grass is growing out. Typically, like milfoil or hydrilla, you'll see that. So, Roy, man, thanks for the $10, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Thanks for the super chat. He says, thanks for being a good man, helping others. Appreciate it, man. Come on. One of these days I'll turn this camera on and do a live and actually be catching a lot of them instead of one here and there. All right, I'm gonna leave. There's fish here, but they're not doing anything. So, but I know if I pull up here on this point, it's right over here, there'll be another one. This one off and back on and see if it can't recalibrate the GPS, because it's about 50 feet off. What are you going to do now that the XI3 is discontinued? I'm going to wait for Lowrance, who basically absorb Motor Guide. I'm going to wait for them to come out with their new motor that's going to replace the XI3. Probably the end of this year, early next year. Believe me, they have heard my opinion on that one. Not happy about that. Been a Motor Guide for 6 years, I believe. Those people who know me, and especially my sponsors, know I don't believe in holding back. They're going to get my opinion whether they like to hear it or not. They can ignore me. It won't bother me a bit. I wish they'd have had one to replace it with, but they will. So, all right. But it's not good to do this, to move it back and forth. You see all that eelgrass, it just looks like really good fine shag carpet, but when I see a hole in it or something like that, or several holes, I know that I've got a different type of grass. So How's that? I accidentally hit Siri for some when I was putting it back in the holder. Oh, Jonathan Williams, make me feel old, dude. 2015, and I started in 2011. Been doing this a long time. All right, for you guys just getting here, what I love to do to try to find fish on Guntersville in a kayak, this does not work in a bass boat very well. I troll a chatterbait behind the kayak at about 3 miles an hour, 3 to 3.5, depending on the depth. But I get a 1/2 ounce or 3/8 ounce chatterbait, and I troll it up in that shallow grass. And when I get bit, I turn around, or if I see something I really like I did a second ago, I turn around and see if I can't catch anything. Right now I'm going across the point. Got a hard top to it. No grass growing on the top of it, which can be good as you get off to the edge. Just use your old red logo t-shirt from the shirt of the month. Wore it out. Oh my goodness. Oops, just got bit. Must have been a little one. I have an NK 180 Pro. Nope, I'm using the XI3. I don't have a Newport. They promised to do some stuff with me for a couple of years and never followed through with any of their promises, so I stopped asking. Oop, oop, oop. Gonna make it into a huge poster. That's funny. That'll be a first. That's funny. You don't have to do all that. What to do. I want to turn back around and hit this point again. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. If you can have one bait caster and rod, what would you use? A medium heavy fast 7-foot something and a 7-speed reel. Pretty much covers a lot of stuff anyway. Any recommendations on storing quick access tools on a kayak? Yes. Watch how fast I get my scissors, or my pliers. Watch how fast I get my scissors. I got magnets that I put right up underneath the edge of my seat. Just kind of cut little slits and stuck them in there. Amazon has them. They're not expensive. They're super strong. I get the ones that are strong enough to hold like power or tools, people's tools up on the wall and that kind of stuff. That's what I use. There's got to be fish right here. There's my stop cast. Hey, concentrate on fishing while answering questions. I fish a bait that I don't really have to concentrate much on. So I'm not throwing a shaky head. I'm not throwing a drop shot. I'm not live scoping. Although I'll put it out just to make sure that I'm throwing it over top of the grass I need to throw it on. But, and I fished the daggum chatterbait so much I don't even have to think about it anymore. Yeah, onyx, they're about that long. They're long, skinny magnets. Like I said, I got a pack of them off of Amazon, and it only took 6 of them. I put 3 on the inside of the, cut a slit, ran 3 of them in there, and then put more of them on top of those 3 that I put in there to give it even more magnetic. You make it, the magnets even stronger. So. All right, drop my active target in the water. Look and see what's around. Ooh, I'm kind of out of position just a little bit. Let me throw right up in here. The way I throw a chatterbait, like I said earlier, is I let it sink all the way to the bottom, especially when I'm throwing it and I want to keep it close to the grass or the bottom, the grass, or even the bottom, and then I just slowly start to reel it. And then I got a little bit thicker grass, so I rip it out of the grass just a little bit, but I try not to rip it too hard. And I work it through that grass. If the wind wasn't blowing so hard, another good bait would be never mind, hold on, that's a big fish. Pull and drag too. Might be a catfish or a drum, but it is a big fish. It hit like a drum and it's fishing, it's fighting like a drum. Standing up, sitting down. Yeah, it's got to be a drum or a catfish, big drum. Welcome to Guntersville. He's a big one though. They'll hit jigs, they'll hit chatterbaits, they'll hit lipless crankbaits, and they are slimy as all get out. Get the bait out of his mouth before he breaks it. I'll show it to you in a second. They have crushers just like a red drum, but they're a freshwater black drum. See that? He's a big one. Biggest one I've ever caught was 24 pounds. This one's only about 6 or 7. That's him. You don't want to lay them on the carpet of your boat. Ooh, they get slime on there and it never comes off. But everybody that eats them says they taste really good. I'll take their word for it. They're just ugly. But if he's out here, big bass are out here too, so. Let the boat drift back just a little bit. Actually, it probably won't because of the current. Let me back up a hair so I'm not throwing behind me. Another thing I love about the XI3 is I can just hit reverse. Oh, let me show you the type of grass. This is a new type. This is milfoil. See this right here? I'm gonna pull it off the. So if it was coontail, there would be grass along the main stem. But milfoil doesn't have grass along the main stem. It only has grass on the outside stems. Just like that. And they look kind of like palms, but it circles it. If it was hydrilla, there would be just 5 leaves around the main stem. So that's milfoil. Brent, I'm not much of a walleye fisherman. I catch them, but I typically will catch them when I see them offshore. I don't do much, especially here in Alabama and Georgia where there's not many walleye. When I go up north, up to Minnesota and stuff, I'll fish for walleye. But again, it's offshore grass, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Net stinks for days on pike. Yeah, they do. Definitely does. Gotta be big bass up in this grass with that big fish there. Favorite time of the year to fish? Oh, dude, I don't know. I love fishing all year. There's just things I love about every single, you know, every single month, really. Every month has a different challenge, and I get excited. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, son of a gun. I don't know if that was a fish or not, but I think it was. You know, for me, it's not about catching the fish. I live for the bite. I'm a hunter, so I love to, you know, I used to deer hunt all the time, but I don't, fishing took over my life, so I don't deer hunt much anymore. But I love the hunt, being able to go out and like be offshore, away from everybody, and find my own fish and get bit. Once I get bit, I consider that a success. That's why losing a fish doesn't bother me near as much as a lot of people, because I'm in it for the bite. It means I've found them, I've located them, I've done everything I need, and I just couldn't finish it at the end. And then, you know, keep trying and you'll catch one. Is there smallmouth around your area? Yeah, there's smallmouth in this lake. A lot of them live further up north in the north end of the lake where there's a lot more current. There's been some pretty good limits. I mean, this is the one that, DC won. What did he win? He won the Red Crest here this year and caught a lot of smallmouth doing it. So yeah, there's smallmouth on this lake, anywhere up along the Tennessee River. If you get up into the tailwaters of the behind the dams and any of the current and stuff like that, you'll find smallmouth. It's about an hour. If I get in my truck, it'd take me about 45 minutes to an hour to get up that way. Nothing beats the fight of a smallmouth. Yep, in 15 to 20 feet of water. I'm actually going to go fish a smallmouth tournament in August on the Susquehanna in Pennsylvania. I have never fished the Susky, and everybody that fishes it says I have to come up there and do that. So it may end up being my only tournament this year. Brent, I just want to say thank you on your videos. I'm subscribed and you have helped me a lot and learn how to fish. Keep up the great work. I appreciate it, man. I need to do more videos. I really do. I get out here and I get excited about catching fish and I forget to turn the video camera on. That's kind of why I'm doing a live, to give me an excuse to do something. If I'd slow down this reel or this retrieve, I'd catch another fish. There's a few of them right here. Why did I switch from a bass boat? It had a lot of reasons. I really enjoy fishing out of a kayak. It's just a different challenge. It forces me to fish right where I'm at and figure them out right where I'm at and not move around a lot. And so that really helps. And then I become a lot better fisherman because of it. But also I have a lot of subscribers that can't get a bass boat for some reason or another. And it just shows a different option, a more portable option. And I wanted to be able to promote kayak fishing and help that part of the fishing world grow. And so I just kind of took that responsibility. And yeah, I know I lost a lot of subscribers, lost a lot of followers by switching to a kayak, but there's really not that much difference. You just have to, the biggest difference is I can't run to the other end of the lake in 5 minutes and fish over there. I have to catch them right here. But I'm still fishing the same areas that I would a big boat. You know, everybody talks about a kayak, you know, being able to get you places a bass boat can, which is true. I just don't particularly think that, for me, the way I fish, I don't really care about that. The one advantage, like I said earlier, is I catch more fish close to the boat because I feel like a kayak doesn't spook the fish near as much as a bass boat does. Love to be a fly on the wall over at Lawrence right now. I'm positive someone is R&D is doing some crazy stuff. Yep, oh gosh, that was not a fish. With AI and forward-facing sonar. Dude, I've wanted to have glasses that were, ever since Google had the Google lens, and I know that was a flop, but when they came out with that, I was like, man, I would love to have a pair of glasses that you put on and it project the topographical map onto the lake where you're at and let you be able to cast exactly where you want to cast on your waypoint or everything else. It was just hooked up to your fish finder. I've always wanted to have something like that. And I think that might be in our future, who knows? I'm probably not the only one that had that idea. So. All right, I need to start trolling again to catch another fish. Gosh, I know they're here though. Tell you what, I need to tuck in just a little bit. Had a yellow kayak and sometimes bass thought it was a lure and they would come hang. They hang out under them all the time, dude. They hang out in the shade. You know, you be throwing a crankbait up on a point or something and you pull the whole school off of the point and they'll come and hang out under your boat and you're just screwed. just screwed. So I changed angles on, I know there's some fish right up here on the edge of this shallow grass. So I changed angles on them. Instead of throwing this way, I'm gonna throw over top of the grass and into the current, so. Ooh, maybe I need to stop throwing a chatterbait and throw something different. Josh Ritchie, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. See, pitch under their boat. Actually, I caught a couple years ago, early in the spring, I caught a 9.5 pound bass 4 feet under my kayak and she was spawning. Saw her on my active target. Dropped down to her and it didn't spook her at all. Just thunk, she thumped it. What section are we gonna be on? Good gosh. I'd have to open it up on my map, on my phone, on my map, and I can't. But it's I think it's called the south part of it. I can't remember. Cannot remember. It's a long stretch though, really long stretch. I'm a sonar technician in the Navy and can't see AI replacing the intuition of a fisherman just yet. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Do I avoid tournaments that don't let you fish FFS? No, I don't. No, I don't. I actually won $11,000 last year in a tournament where I didn't use my forward-facing sonar. Didn't need it. I tried to use it when I started to struggle halfway through the second day, and I realized that it was more of a crutch than anything, and I stowed it away. So there's a place for it, and for me, my rule is every 5 days I leave it at the house. I really do. And if I'm offshore fishing, I try not to use it, just because I don't want to lose that edge. Because you lose a lot of skill by using it, because it becomes a crutch. So like right now, I can't see the fish unless they come up out of the grass, but I want to make sure that I'm throwing into the grass. And so I'm just using it just to spot the grass is all I'm using. I'm not trying to scope a fish. So I'm still fan casting. But maybe I use it different than other people use it. But for me, I see it more of a, if you use it all the time, it becomes a crutch. How long do you fish a lure before you switch if they aren't biting? I fish it until I lose confidence. And one of the biggest things that I've had to teach myself is to recognize that I've lost confidence in it and immediately change. That's one of the hardest things. You know, you've heard the old saying, beating a dead horse. A lot of times people will beat a dead horse. They know they have no confidence in what they're throwing anymore, but they still gonna throw it. And for me, I immediately, you know, try to stop. And like right now, if I don't get a fish in this cast or the next cast, I might grab I got a Nico rig right there. But I really think with this current and the wind the way it's blowing, I should be able to get bit on this chatterbait. But I'll switch between a finesse bait and, you know, bottom bait and a moving bait and that kind of stuff, even when I'm catching them. Just try to catch more of them doing it. So, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop sitting still. And I'm gonna hit the trolling motor, throw this behind me, and troll it until I get bit. Switch hands. How deep do you fish at chatterbait? I fish it as deep as I need to. I actually have one that's 1.25 ounces that I fish 20, 25 feet deep. But typically it's all the way down to about 12 or 15 feet. Do I ever fish flukes deep? Sometimes. There's just other things I'd rather fish deep than a fluke. Who makes that heavy of a chatterbait? Z-Man does. You just have to look for it. They're hard to find. My local tackle shop carries a ton of stuff, so. I want to say it's 1.25 ounces. It's pretty heavy. It might be 3/4 of an ounce, but it's a heavy jackhammer. Typically we'll do that in the winter time. I'm watching my map right now to make sure I stay at the depth that I want to stay at. I'm a little too shallow. I need to get out a little deeper. Thanks for all the interaction, man. Best of luck the rest of your fishing season. Appreciate you. Thanks, Josh. It might be a 3/4 then. I'm dyslexic with numbers, so don't hold me to it. But yeah, it might be a 3/4. Either way, it fishes. You can fish that really, really deep. So. Turning just a hair, turning 90 degrees, gonna go across the shallow part of this point. What gear ratio and line size are you using? I'm using this is a 8.6 to 1 gear ratio reel and 20-pound test fluorocarbon, but that's because I'm trolling it and I'm ripping it out of the grass and really putting a lot of damage and a lot of oomph behind it. Oh, sorry. When you troll, do you hold the rod or use it? I don't use a rod holder. I want to be able to feel when that bait gets caught in the grass. So I only troll one bait. Like Bassmaster tournaments, it's against the rules, but when I'm pre-fishing, I do it all the time until it helps me find fish faster. Holy cow, it's already 5 o'clock. Wow. Didn't realize it was so late. We're gonna run this, I want to run a little bit longer. We'll try to get 2 hours out of this live stream. I'm sure I'll catch a fish here in just a minute. What's a good lure to troll with and to find fish? Chatterbait and lipless crankbait is the two I throw. They're the most weedless, and when I throw a lipless, I take the back hook off. The lipless gets hung a lot less with that when you remove the back hook. And really the only lipless that I throw is a Spro or Ruku shad, because all the rest of them will roll up when they go too fast. You can troll a Spro Ruku shad 4 or 5 miles an hour and it still stays pinned down. So I'm trolling at 3.3 right now, but I was really super shallow, and I'll slow down to 3 when I get back out a little bit deeper. I just want to be feeling my bait tick the grass and tick the bottom. And so I speed up and slow down. That's why the remote's in my hand. Oh, fat bassin', that would be awesome. Sean keeps threatening to fish with me, and then I never hear from him. Of course, he's a busy dude, so can't hold it against him. Except when I'm talking to him, I'll hold it against him. If I like you, I talk trash a lot, so he knows I like him. Oh, there's got to be a fish right here. Nope. Hold on. Those great tutorial videos. Would you be so kind as to make another video about getting into kayak tournaments, please? Yeah, I can do that. So like right now I'm in 6 feet of water and I slowed down to 2.9 miles an hour. But usually about 3 miles an hour is where I like to be. Going through a bunch of that floating eelgrass now. So I'm having to jerk on it a lot. But it's nice being able to feel the blades get hung in that grass. You know, one bait I'd love to be able to troll is a swim jig, but you can't, because you can't tell whether there's you know, grass hanging on it or not. Ooh, that was a fish too. Dadgummit. I don't scare the fish when I troll them. A kayak typically doesn't scare them for some reason. And I really just I don't even throw a full cast behind me. The bait's not far behind me at all. So, and it's just to locate them. Like once I catch one, I'll stop and turn around and fish the whole area. So, yeah, but I never have noticed the fact that I really spook them a lot. I usually can get at least one fish in the area to bite. Have you ever used a donkey rig? Yes, I have. And what are your thoughts? I don't call it the donkey rig. I call it a double fluke rig because that's what it's always been called since the 70s, since it was invented. But yeah, it's a good one. I've actually got a old video that I shot on Clark's Hill, which is one of the lakes that it was first fished on. I've got an old video that talks about how to fish it. I catch a giant on it too in that video. That was over a decade ago. I literally just make a back cast behind the boat and that's it. That's all I do. Let's see see, how do you know if your bait isn't covered in grass on the hooks right now? It just feels a little heavier, is all it does. Speed up just a hair. Line's about 30, maybe 40 feet back. What did you do for work before fishing full time? I was an X-ray tech at a level 1 trauma center on the weekends for 15 years. And then before that, I was X-ray tech in the Army. Ten years, Corin, that's awesome. And yeah, I did it for 16. I was actually the very first X-ray tech to ever do teleradiography. When I was in the Army, that was a pilot program that we worked on, and we did. I was in a Quonset hut, taking X-rays and sending them over to Oahu to get them read. First time it ever been done. I'm also the very first tech to do dermatology. I took the pictures for them back when the best digital camera was at 9 megapixel. I'm old. I think I'm the last X-ray tech that I know of that used chemicals. I know I'm not, but daggone. In July, you got me by 5 years. You and Deshaun. Oh, Deshaun do the Bass Nation, dude. I did a couple of them last year. That was fun. I just got to get my feet back into creating content. That's why I decided not to fish very many tournaments. We are running the Team Kayak series is my tournament series that me and my buddy Michael are running. Our next tournament is on Nickajack in just a few weeks. Yeah, I should have started this over where I was earlier today, where I was catching a bunch of them. It's all right. I'll be back out here in a couple days. What was the most X-rayed injury you saw in the Army? Yes, ankles. Yeah, but the ones I remember the most were boxer's fractures. I was at a lot of training facilities, and so you'd get those young soldiers that would punch the wall locker and break their hand. And yeah, me being me, I'd give them a hard time about it. Big dummies. The most X-rayed thing was a chest X-ray for physicals and things like that. But that was just because of what we did. Dude, yeah, come fish it next season. It sucks about what you got in a wreck, is that what it says? Yep. I remember that wreck. Oh yeah, I remember it now. Dadgum, that was at the championship. I almost won that thing. Let me show you guys what I'm looking for. This is actually the kind of area I'm looking for. Let me stop and pause this for a second. Get the phone off and show you guys my fish finder. All right, look right here. All this clumpy, scattered milfoil is what I'm looking for. It's 6 feet, 6, 7, 5 to 6 feet deep right there. See it? I paused it, so, but all of that right there is scattered milfoil. So I'm gonna mark that spot, and then I'm gonna go fish through it and see what happens. Just gives the fish a lot of places to hide and to ambush, and it's in the current, and so, and it's right on top of a hump, or a point that comes off of a hump. I didn't see any fish in there, but we'll see. Have you ever fished far away from Lake Alaska out of the country? I have fished for Arctic char in northern Quebec while I was caribou hunting back when I was a teenager. My dad took me caribou hunting when I graduated high school. It was my high school graduation gift. Mainly because he wanted to go caribou hunting, and he just used that as an excuse to go. But shot 2 caribou and caught dozens and dozens of Arctic char and ate them for dinner, and it was really, really good. I just saw fish on my side scan, so there are fish in the area. I just don't know if they're bass. Yeah, that would have been a fun tournament for you, man. I just ran out of fish the second day. I had what I have, a 7-inch lead going into day 2, and I couldn't catch the big one. I caught a limit, just couldn't catch any good size. I watched a bass boater catch one off of a log. I caught a big one on the day before, and it was a 21-incher. He put it in his box and took it to weigh in. But he was fishing for $100,000, so it didn't tick me off. I was just a little disappointed in myself for not getting there first. So I'm fishing on Guntersville, Devon. That's probably where I'll be for the next little while anyway. Credge on Guntersville is a bad dude when they start schooling, especially around the Seabold area. That's where I'm at. I'm actually just north of Seabold. My battery will probably run dead on the way back to the boat ramp, so. We were north of the Arctic Circle in Quebec, long ways north of the Arctic Circle, out in the middle of nowhere. Of course, that's all closed now. I don't know when I guess the population of caribou suffered so much that they don't have a season for them anymore. And they don't know when, which is crazy. Because we saw hundreds of them. All right, I need to concentrate, slow down a little bit, and I'll catch one. Not really deep, 5, 6 feet deep. Just gotta go slow. Didn't feel any grass there. In the 90s, it was overpopulation of caribou. Now it's the opposite. Yeah, that's kind of weird. And it probably has to do with just weather, you know? Who knows? Went to Bienville Outdoors this weekend. That was an awesome place. That is a pretty awesome place, dude. It really is. It really is. I'd love to get a business deal going with them. They just don't want me to make any money. And when you do this for a living, time is money. Yeah, I can't promote a place like that for free. All right, I'm gonna grab a Nico rig. See if I can't catch something right here in this area. There's gotta be fish here. I'm seeing little bluegill on active target. I'm actually Nico rigging a cutter worm, a rage cutter worm. That's what I'm doing. Oh, sit back, relax. Uh-oh, feel my wallet. It's not good. This is the one finesse bait that I have very little confidence in, so I'm forcing myself to fish it more and more. Already caught 2 fish on it today. You ever fished Michigan or anywhere in the Great Lakes? Yes, I have. I fished Erie. I have fished Michigan with, oh, what's the guy's name? Golly, why am I forgetting his name? Ben, not Milliken. Nowak, Ben Nowak. Fished there a couple of times. I love to fish Minnesota and Michigan. I've caught some, I've been ice fishing in Michigan a couple of times. I am a long ways from the boat ramp. It's all your guys' fault. I did not realize I was this far away. That's why I have an extra battery on the boat. God, there's gotta be fish here. Do you like their down and side imaging better than Garmin 2? Oh, Lowrance. Garmin's always going to be better, a better image. I have gotten really good at my Lowrance. I really don't need to have the best image. Garmin owns the technology. They own the government contracts for all that technology, and then they just kind of float it into their fish finder. So they'll always, unless something changes with that, they'll always have a little bit better than Lowrance and a lot better than Humminbird. For some reason, Humminbird has decided to be a little bit slower at all that. I've just, the active target is, especially the latest update. What I love about the active target is you buy the unit, you buy the transducer, and then to get a better image, you just update it when they have new updates come out. You don't need to buy a new transducer, and at least not at this point. There will come a time, I imagine it'll get so good they need a better, and they need a higher or a better transducer. So, but for right now, like the latest update was just a few months ago, and it really makes a huge difference. Like I said, I don't typically, unless I'm just fishing offshore on ledges and stuff like that, or fishing for suspended fish, I usually just use it to make sure I'm throwing in the right general area. Like right now, I can't see any fish, but I just know with the type of grass that I have fish in the area until I prove that there's not any fish in the area. I don't know. I don't know if I'm fishing too fast or too slow or what. Had to choose, if you had to choose to have only forward-facing sonar or side and down scan for tournaments, what would you choose? I'd be side scan, down scan. I use them more than I do forward-facing sonar, a lot more. Is that a fish? Nope. It was almost a lure to the face though. I lost concentration and thought I got a bit. But yeah, I use my side scan and my down imaging so much more than I do forward-facing sonar. And that's probably true for a lot of guys, really. But the only thing you see is in tournaments is people staring at the dang forward-facing sonar. Fishing for me would get boring if that's all I did, and it really does. I mean, my home lake, which is straight offshore lake, I'm on it all the time. You know, oh, there's a fish. Yep, not a big one, but well, unless he turns like that. Yeah, he's a pound and a quarter. But yeah, I just find it to be more of a crutch sometimes. I'm not against using it in tournaments. I'm not against using it at all, but it has its place. Got a little bit of beefy leader here. I think I have 12-pound leader on this, so I can muscle him a little bit. There we go. Lost my worm. Not bad. Not bad at all. Look at that son of a gun. All right, guys, we're going to end it here. I've been doing this for 2 hours. Yep, a little over 2 hours. I got to get back to the truck, and I'm sure I'm going to run dead on battery before I get back. But I have a 75 amp hour up front that I can plug up to my motor and go. So I appreciate you hanging in with me. You guys are awesome. I'm going to do these more and more often, especially on YouTube. I started doing it on TikTok. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So YouTube's going to be the way it goes from here on out. I'll do a little bit on TikTok, but mostly this. So take it easy, guys. Good to see you. And like I would say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.